Welcome to the Own Your Best Life podcast. I'm May Emson, your host, leadership and mindset coach. Here, we talk all things spiritual, mindset, business, leadership, and wellness for the modern seeker who wants to align their life with purpose and inspiration. We'll cover career changes, stress management, meditation, energy, intuition, and more. Each episode holds spiritual and practical tools to help you live a life of your wildest dreams without getting burnt out along the way. Ready to live a life on your own terms? This is the Own Your Best Life podcast. Welcome, friends, to episode number 57 of the Own Your Best Life podcast. So we often have these competing priorities in our lives, and we feel so overwhelmed trying to figure out how to do and manage all of it. We may make lists, we make plans, we might even create some goals, yet we still haven't followed through on them. And it feels useless at some point to just keep trying, so we stop going after the things even when we know that they would be good for us. And instead, we just stay in the status quo. And if you're here, you're likely not someone who wants to stay in the status quo. You want to have a goal and you want to achieve it, and you want to become the person who does what they say they will do. And today we're going to break down why you're not doing the thing you want to do and how to get started. So how many of you have said that you want to exercise more or eat healthier, or stop procrastinating? You want to connect with your family or friends. Maybe you want to tackle a big project or something that has just been on your mind. Maybe you want to launch a business or a product or do something, yet you don't. There's a dream, perhaps, a wish, maybe even a desire that you know would dramatically change and improve the quality of your life. Yet you're not doing the thing. You're not there. Can you imagine if you just continued this way of not doing it, that you continued with the status quo of whatever action or behavior you're engaging in or inaction that you're engaging in? What would that look like? And if your answer is that it is a future that I am not interested in pursuing, then you're likely ready to make a change, and you may be telling yourself, okay, so today is the day, I'm doing it, and when the time comes to do it, you still don't get started. And this is reason number one for why you don't become the person who does what you say. So reason number one is you don't even get started. And why don't we get started when we know how amazing life will be once we do? And many times it's an automatic behavior. So many of us know, once I exercise, I feel so good afterwards. And when you think of this example of trying to wake up, whether it's to exercise or to meditate early in the morning, and the alarm goes off and you don't get out of bed, and the alarm goes off and you hit the snooze button and the alarm goes off and you just say, tomorrow. It's fine. Not today. Tomorrow's fine. And whether you realize it or not, this is a habit. This is a pattern. And patterns and our habits and our actions create the results that we have in our life. There is no way to get around it. No way to get around this. So you have a pattern of not getting up early enough to do what you want to do in the mornings. So let's just take that fact for a moment and break it down even further. So again, this is an example. So if you're one of these people who are already getting up, apply this to another topic. So when you think about your habits in this area, whatever topic and area that you want to improve, do you feel energized by your habits, or do you feel really dejected, really unmotivated, really upset at yourself? And often we feel negatively towards ourselves. We are hypercritical, and the emotion itself isn't necessarily bad, because this can give you leverage to actually change and finally do the thing that you said you'll do. And that emotion can also stop you, however, from making the change. If you're hypercritical about it, you start to believe things like, I'm just not that type of person. Does that sound familiar? Or maybe they're born that way, or they've just always done that. These are thoughts that we have about other people who are doing the things we'd love to do. This is the point at which you can take one of two paths. One path is to believe that it's not for you and you'll never do it, and the other path is to question it. And what do I mean about questioning those thoughts? So if you can for a moment, just take the judgment out of those statements. You can come to some very powerful insights. So when we ask ourselves the questions and we start to think, well, why am I thinking about this? And what does a person who does this kind of thing believe? We actually start to understand what's keeping us from doing the thing we want to do. So instead of us getting stuck there and just being like, oh, I'm just not that type of person, we keep going and we ask ourselves these questions. And then we say, oh, well, a person who gets up early in the morning to exercise or meditate believes that it's necessary to do this. And I'll ask you, if this is something you struggle with here, do you believe that what you're trying to do is necessary or important? And what defines what's necessary or important in our lives? It's our principles. It's our values. So our principles and our values, they drive our lives. If a guiding principle in your life is connection with family or friends, for example, you will prioritize helping them in their times of need over all the other things in your life. You'll find it necessary to make the time and commit to being there for that person or those people. If a guiding principle in your life is integrity, that means it's necessary to honor your own words and commitments, even to yourself. And if we don't make it necessary to do what we say we'll do, we won't. And what I would say here is integrity is probably a principle that you would want to have driving your life. To be able to honor your own words, to honor your commitments to yourself, drives so much confidence and brings so much energy and clarity to what you end up doing in your life and why you do it, that this is something I would say is pretty worthwhile. And it's why this topic really resonates with a lot of folks. I've gotten a lot of questions about actually doing what I say I will do. All right. So if you are now bought in to this idea that our principles drive our lives, then what should we do with this? Line up and link up your desire, the thing you want to change, with one of your core principles or values. So, for example, when I began the process of starting a business, I lined it up with my principle of work ethic. And it's what kept me going, even when I didn't know if the time or effort would show any results, or I wasn't seeing any results. Why? Well, I believe that when I am diligent, when I apply my focus and my energy on what matters the most, I will see results at some point, maybe not right away. And this meant that I believed also and believe that I am the type of person who isn't in it and isn't in things for short-term results. And therefore, I'll put in the necessary time and attention consistently. I apply the same principle to relationships or any of the work that I do in my life. And this idea that real improvement, meaningful improvement, is driven by focus and driven by attention and intention over time. And so that's what kept me going, even when I didn't see results. It's what got me started. This idea of, even if I haven't done this thing before, if I put consistent time and attention and focus into it, something will show forth this. And so you have to believe something. And your principles and your values are essentially your beliefs, your belief systems about the way the world works, because these things are important to you. So when I say integrity, it's because I believe that when I operate in integrity, that is consistent with how I see the world. I see the world as a very logical place, even when you can have dreamy results or, quantum physics at hand. I still believe that there is something to explain what is happening, even if I don't completely understand it. So I have to believe that honesty, integrity all matter, because those for me, are some of these universal truths about the way that the world works and the way that humans work and the way that we're all connected and the ways that serve the most. So this is just an example of why getting into these ideas of what you believe about the world actually matter to something as tactical as getting up in the morning or as tactical as starting a business. And another example is when I began the process of changing careers. I lined up the principle and the value of mine of authenticity to this process, which meant that I believe I'm the type of person who knows who they are, what they stand for, and that they have something to offer the world. That may seem like a stretch, right? You might think, well, how do I know I have something to offer this world? Isn't that kind of big to assume that you have something to offer in this world? And I'm not saying this from a place of ego per se. It's just this idea of, well, I believe I'm here to serve or to have some impact, to improve not just my own quality of life, but the quality of lives of other people around me. Many of you may not feel that way. You might not feel that for yourself yet. I challenge you that at some point, no matter where you are in your life, when you start to try to consistently improve in many different ways, you often come back to this tenet of service, of giving, of having some kind of contribution to this world beyond contributing to your own life. And it ends up being, for many of us, what drives us to evolve, to do more, to give more, to be more than we ever thought we could have. Because once you get past the place of satisfying very human needs, which is important and necessary for you to do because we live in this very human world, and it needs money, and it needs work, and it needs people, and you have real life to manage, we also have this other need of wanting to do more with our lives, to be more, and to show up with a different sense of energy than just the, I'm making ends meet kind of energy, whether it's around creative living, whether it's around intentional living, whether it's around love or compassion or beauty or growth, or just living life to the limit and feeling like you're really using up all the juice that you've got in this lifetime. We want to expand in some kind of way. So challenge yourself to think in this process of the thing you want to do, no matter how small it is. Like, it could be the thing you're trying to get to on your to-do list and you just don't do it every time. Line it up to one of your core values. Line it up to something that, even if you don't know what a core value is or you're not sure what it is, you can say to yourself, well, what do I believe is important to me? That's another way of coming up with a core value, is ask yourself, well, what's important to me? Family is important to me. Truth is important to me. Having fun is important to me. Work ethic is important to me. That's another way of coming up with principles and values. So don't make this like a big, hard thing, but start to just let it sit in your mind and let it start to marinate a bit and let it soak in and see if what I'm saying is resonating with you. Because if it does, it means that there is something there around this idea of getting started, around aligning it up with something that you actually believe in. Because if you don't believe in it, if you don't think ultimately the world works well in this way, that you would benefit from this, you don't have a fighting chance to get started. You do not have a fighting chance to get started. When I look at little tedious projects, I line it up to a big goal. I line it up to something that means something to me. And if I don't do it, and I make it mean some tedious random thing to do that's boring, then why would I ever want to do it? So it makes complete sense for us to drive our actions from a place of true belief. And it's not this random thing of just saying, well, I think this links up to that. No, it actually has to make sense. Our goals ladder up to bigger goals. Our goals in our life ladder up to bigger reasons why you want to have that. If you want to lose 15 pounds, there's a reason beyond just losing 15 pounds. It's because you think maybe you can insert your own reasons that you want a higher quality of life because you believe that it's possible, because you said to yourself that you would, because you want to honor your commitments to yourself, because you don't feel good and you believe that you could feel a lot better, so why not? That life is fun, that you can live a more optimized, healthy life. Those are just some examples again. I'm saying all this because I think that we sometimes hear these concepts of principles or values and beliefs, and we're not really sure how does that actually matter to the thing that I am trying to do right here, right now, because I just keep putting it on my calendar and I still don't get to it, right? We can have all the tactics, we can have all the strategies, but if you sit there staring at the thing and you're still not doing it, there's something in your mindset, a belief that is not linked up. And it is not linked up because if I were to tell you that you're going to die tomorrow if you don't do this thing and you actually believe that is true, you would do this thing. You would do it. I mean, maybe some of you wouldn't because you're not feeling so urgent about your life. But I would hope, right? I would hope that you do. Or if I link to this, to like the health of a loved one, man, how fast would some of you go trying to figure this thing out? This is the crux of a lot of what we think of when we think of not getting started. So that was a bit of an aside, but an important one because I just want you to get yourself into this feeling of how committed you actually must be in order for you to do this thing, in order for you to get started. And the commitment comes from linking it to something you actually deep down in your core believe is true. And if you're not sure, I would start to think about what you feel is true and start to work on that kind of self-awareness and knowing of, what do I value in life? What is important to me? And just even if you don't know the answer to that, to start thinking about it will help you drive the clarity. So again, knowing your value system and knowing where you're coming from and what's important to you will make some of the things that you're trying to do necessary, urgent, so you get started now. And so these are just a couple of examples. You take the time to think through, what do you value, right? How do you link your desire to what you value so that it's necessary and important for you to get started? All right, so I hope you've kind of thought through that a little bit. If not, that's okay. And we're going to talk about that next reason about why you're not the person who does what they say. So reason number 2, and I'm hoping after this you'll start to become a lot more congruent and feel like you are going to be that person who says something and they do something. All right, so reason number 2 is this. You don't actually put a goal to the things you want. So I said it. You're not naming the thing you actually want. And if you don't actually state or declare that you want to do something, how is the change ever going to happen? And there are a few reasons, though, to kind of understand why this might be happening. One of them is that you might not know what you want. You might not know what you want. And this is actually more common than we realize. We often feel like we want something to change and we want to see some kind of shift in our lives and we want to feel better, but we don't know exactly what to do. So we don't get started. We don't have a goal. And therefore, I say, I want something X to change in my life, but I don't do it because I don't really know what I'm doing. So here's what you might be thinking. Number 1, I don't know what to go after first. You're like, I'm feeling really overwhelmed. I feel there's millions of possibilities. I don't know which one to go after. Number 2, I don't know if this will actually work. Why bother if this doesn't actually work, right? Many of us, if you tell me that there is a guarantee that you follow steps A, B, and C that you will get there, you'll be like, sign me up. I'm in. I want the guarantee in life. So we don't have the guarantee. And therefore, we don't do the thing we said we would do because we're thinking, well, it might not work. Okay, the third reason, or third thing you're thinking, I don't know if I even really want to change. Is it even worth it? Maybe I said that I don't really love the way that this job is showing up in my life anymore. I feel kind of over it and I want to move on, but I don't know if I really want to change. Is it better? Is the grass really greener on the other side? So my question to you is this: does it sound familiar? Do any of these thoughts sound familiar to you? And if they do, you should be excited. Why? Because the interesting thing about each of these things is that there are answers. And there are decisions to be made about each of these thoughts. When you don't know what to go after first, for example, you can figure that out. You can figure out what to go after first. Same goes for if this thing will actually work, or thought number 3, which is whether or not it's worth it. What we often do is we just stop there. And we just think, well, I don't know the answer to that question, so I'll just leave it there. So the follow through is what we are missing. This actually keeps us from actually creating any type of goals or intentions about what we want. We live in this nebulous world of uncertainty, and we let it define us instead of us defining the world around us. If you listened to my podcast, the last one about science in the Akashic Field, and you're interested in quantum physics, you'll start to understand the world is essentially this massive soup of energy that is nebulous. So let's just work with it. And instead of saying, well, that nebulous thing means something's wrong, we can say, well, no, that nebulous thing means it's all right. Means that it's the way it's supposed to be. And not only that, all the things you're thinking and feeling are normal. But it never meant that you were supposed to just stop there. And I don't know, and I apologize for anyone that has told you that just because you feel a little uncertain, that it doesn't mean you can't feel certain. I talked about this in our group coaching session the other night, but we cannot confuse uncertainty about unknowns in the world with the uncertainty in ourselves about our ability to figure things out, to make a path, to make a way. You will have things that you do not know will happen. You do not know these things will happen. That's the whole point of the future. It is unknown. That's what's supposed to be there. If you knew everything, you're living the same life over and over again. You're living the predictable life. I'm not saying that's wrong, but it's likely not why you're here. Unknown, not being sure of what things will look like, exactly how it will work, is quote unquote normal. What you can control is your own certainty about how you will figure this situation out, about how you will come to this situation, how you will handle the unknowns. You can create certainty within yourself about that. So in a world that is nebulous, you cannot wait for the uncertainty to disappear. And if you do, you will just get washed around in this big energetic soup, and you'll end up somewhere, but it will likely be some accidental place instead of a place of your own choosing. And so this is the antidote. And the antidote is for us to decide that you will figure it out, that you'll make a decision about what it is you want and why. And instead of waiting for all those answers that you just wish existed for you and it was so simple and easy and clear to come, we create the answers by moving forward and learning from our actions or inactions. You may be, whether you realize it or not, your own leader in this place. It doesn't have to be this big, dramatic thing. That's also another reason why you don't actually put a goal to the things you want. You're worried about it being this big, dramatic thing, like I'm putting a big stake in the ground and I'm doing it. I think that is one great tactic, declaring it and putting it out into the world, telling everyone you know, I'm doing this thing and therefore I can't back out of it. There are so many tactics, which I get into when I do my coaching work. But on this podcast right here, right now, what I'm sharing with you is that there are other reasons why you're not putting a goal to the things you want. And it's not just because you are deciding not to declare it, but because you just don't want to have a big failure. And that is normal. We don't want to fail really publicly and say, oh my goodness, everyone knew I wanted to do this thing and then I didn't do it. I want to be real with you and say that you don't have to declare all the things out loud to the universe in like these big, bold ways, but you can declare it out loud to yourself. You can keep it internal and still have it be as powerful and strong. And I will challenge you to decide for yourself which one of these work better for you depending on the situation. Sometimes we need that external accountability and we go there and we work with folks and we tell people and we do all the things. We put money down, we have all those tactics and they work really well for us. But sometimes we just make that one shift inside us and that is what sets the domino in motion, the set of dominoes in motion. You can actually say to yourself, you know what? I'm not going to make it a big thing. I'm just going to do it. And I'm just going to see how it goes. And I'm going to let myself do it gently. And I'm going to let myself do it in my own way. And I'm not going to make it this, I hate my life and therefore I have to change it kind of thing. Or I hate my body and therefore I have to change it. Or I'm so behind in my job and everyone else is ahead of me. Therefore I have to get promoted kind of thing. Can it come from this internal place of strength, of love, of desire, of hope, of passion, of interest, of growth, instead of this fear-based place? And when it comes from there, you can make it loud, you can make it big, you can tell all the people, but you can also keep it inside and you can just do it and let the results speak for themselves. So this is the other reason why you are not doing the thing, is because you believe it has to be a big deal. You believe it has to change you fundamentally, who you are and the life you're living. No, you could just have a thing that you want to do and go do it. Let it be simpler than we ever thought it could have been. Let it be way simpler than we ever thought it could have been. So there you have it, my friends, the 2 reasons you're not becoming the person who does what they say. And I'm going to leave you with this because I know it's important for those of you who feel like you're sitting on the sidelines of your life, just waiting for someone to call you in to play. And it's this: we're not going to be given a roadmap to our life. We're just not. We have to create the path we want to go on. We make up the game. And we make up the rules. But if we don't ever step into the game and when we don't play it for ourselves, we'll always be watching other people playing the game of their lives thinking, wow, that must be nice. And the confusion here is you think that it's someone else's game. You think it's not yours. But I'm telling you, no matter how big or small you feel your life is, you get to play and you are playing it already. You may be feeling like you're sitting on the sidelines, but now the sidelines is the game that you're playing, right? The removal of yourself from having a goal or an action doesn't mean you're not having a goal or an action. Your goal may be to be in status quo. Your goal may be to not act. Your action is the decision to not do. And that's not good, nor is it bad. I just want you to realize sometimes that even when you're on pause, even when you feel that you're on the sidelines, you're still somewhere. And that somewhere can be exactly what you need and the time that you need to kind of get everything in order for you to recoup the energy or figure some things out, and that's okay. It can also mean that you're waiting for a person to say something or to give you permission to do something that no one ever needed to give you permission to do. You do not need permission to want something for your life. I know this sounds weird because as we grew up, we probably were given permission for a lot of things. Like, you can now do this. Okay, I will do this now. Now as grown-ups, if you are a grown-up listening to this, if you're not, you have to remember that you are the grown-up now. You're the grown-up now. And you give yourself permission. You get to decide. And you have a lot more than you realize to offer the world. You have a lot more life to live, a lot more people to love, a lot more impact to be had than you give yourself credit for. And you're already doing it. So why not this next thing? Why not this next thing? And I'll challenge you to think to yourself, when you're looking at other people's lives and thinking like, wow, that must be nice, to think about your own life and think, wow, what I have is nice. All I have to do is learn how I operate. Through trial and error, through learning from all the things I'm going to figure out along the way. And then all I have to do is think about what the next shift I want is for myself. And once I declare it internally or externally, it's done. And why? Because you're now the person who does what they say they'll do. Now, doesn't that feel nice? So if you like this, you will love my group coaching program, because this month we're on the topic of taking aligned action. We are bridging the gap between this dreamy idea or this figuring out, and we're actually coming up with the plans for how do we want to do the things. If you're interested in learning more and joining a community of like-minded thinkers and seekers and having these kind of conversations on the daily, you can go to www.mayemson.com/contact and fill out the information, and you can learn more. So I hope you have an amazing week, my friends, and I will see you next time. Bye now. Thanks so much for joining us this week on Own Your Best Life. Make sure to subscribe to the show on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts so that you'll never miss a show. And while you're at it, can you please rate and review on iTunes? I would so appreciate it. Share it with a friend, take a screenshot of it, and tag @MayEmson. This helps continue to get the word out. For more show notes and resources, check out www.mayemson.com. You'll have all the links to everything you heard here today. Thanks so much for listening. It's time to own your best life.